Hello and welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host. And yes, I have a guest today who is actually physically with me. See? he this is Brian.
Hi, I almost got some screen time here. I get to do a little Chris Collinsworth slide in.
This is my husband Brian, and we recently went. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience about
No.
yourself?
Nope.
Okay. He is known as my husband Brian. Um, So we recently did a day at Disney and we got to ride the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And we are both two different ride people. I am the motion sickness person. And how would you describe your?
Not a motion sickness person, so I'm more interested in more of the coaster type aspect of it rather than the sit in a chair and watch a movie type of thing. So um, this was a little bit of both, I guess.
Okay. So we both decided before we went, we wanted to see an actual movie of Guardians of the Galaxy to see if it made a difference. I did not think it made a difference watching the movie, but I know you thought there was a little
I did,
difference.
yeah. I thought it was a little bit helpful to me because that Guardians of the Galaxy obviously is not very serious. It's Chris Pratt that we all know and love, hopefully, and so the type of tone of like the introductory scenes and stuff from the ride, I thought it was helpful to know that that's carryover theme from the movie. Otherwise, I would have thought they weren't taking very seriously, or maybe it was like almost a spoof of the movie or something. But knowing the way that the movie's laid out and seeing that carried through to the ride, it was actually a little helpful for me, I think.
Yeah. I think it was helpful to know who were the actual characters because there are some other people in the pre-show that aren't in the movie, I don't think. But they show up in the pre-show. So it is kind of interesting to see who's like in the pre-show and who is actually from the movie there. So to ride this ride, first of all, it's in Epcot and it's for most people, if you're looking at Spaceship Earth or that big ball, it's to the left. When you first walk into the park, that's how you're getting to Guardians of the Galaxy. It took over Ellen's Energy Universe. That was that 40-minute dinosaur ride. And now it's Guardians of the Galaxy. And one of the things people like about Guardians is that it's inside. So it's not a roller coaster that would shut down because of the weather. So that is a good thing. It is part of Lightning Lane. So you can purchase, this is the a la carte part where you can purchase it separately if you want it. So if you do not have an Epcot Park Pass, but you have a Park Hopper ticket, this is the only way that you can ride Guardians of the Galaxy right now. If you have an Epcot Park ticket for the day, meaning you have a ticket to get into the park, and you have that Park Pass that you need to get into Epcot, you can then get into the virtual queue that opens up at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. each day to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. And the virtual queue, basically at 7 a.m., it opens up, you click into it, and if you get in, then they will give you a return time to come back. If you don't get in, you could try again at 1 p.m., but you need to be in Epcot Park in order to get that into the virtual queue. So that costs you $0. At this time, there is no standby line. So it's virtual queue free, or you buy the individual Lightning Lane to guarantee a time for callback. And what I will say is the virtual line is you get a time to be called back. It could take anywhere, from an hour for you to still wait in line in a virtual queue. If you have the individual Lightning Lane, it does go faster. So you're not waiting as much time. So that's one big thing that you should know about Guardians of the Galaxy. No, you have to either be in virtual queue or individual Lightning Lane. No standby at this time. Now, talking about this ride, it's a 40 to ride it. It's a 42-inch. You have to have a 42-inch height requirement. We did not take our son on this ride. I would say it was too intense. He would not enjoy it. Now, I did have a friend who was there also this week, and her daughter is a few months younger than my son. They that little girl insisted on getting on, and she went on and she absolutely loved it. So you have to know your kid in order to know this ride. So we're going to try and not do any spoilers, but we are going to talk about the pre-show a little bit, because I think that makes a big difference. And I see a lot of that in the Disney rides lately, with how the pre-show rides go. So we went in with individual Lightning Lane. And so we walked straight through, and then we came into this big open room. And we watched a video, and then we moved on to another room.
Yep.
Where we watched another video. And so it's like big room, clump of people watching a video, move to another room, big clump of people watching a video. And then once you come out of that room, then is there another room, or do you start waiting in a line then?
I don't know. I think you go back to the line.
Okay, so then you're like back in a line. So you get into this clump, into a third room, and then you continue in a line where I would say we waited 10, 15 minutes.
Probably.
In that line before we got on the ride vehicle. So this is kind of like Disney's new thing, is like, oh, look, you got right on, because you think like, oh, I got into this room. Then as soon as I get out of this room, I'm getting on the ride. But really, you're just taking your time waiting in the second part of the line. So I think that's important to know, because it took us a full 45 minutes from when we started to getting off for that ride, which was very unexpected for me, because if I think individual Lightning Lane, I think quick speed, like you're paying for that price to get through. And it just took a little longer than I had anticipated. And I know you have comments on that.
Yeah, that's definitely this theme of let's get you through the line, make you think you're in the ride, watch a movie, go to another room, watch another movie, all while you're standing. For some people, I guess that's all part of the experience, and they like the fact that you're air conditioning, you're inside, and it sort of elongates the experience, especially on a ride that's as fast as your typical roller coaster. They're pretty limited in how long they last. So I guess this lengthens it out a little bit. And I guess for people who weren't too familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy, or maybe this is a potential way for Disney to get people excited about it, like, oh, I didn't know that guy was in it, or whatever. So it's their chance to kind of pitch you something before you get on the ride too.
Right. I think part of I don't want to say theming, but I guess it is theming, that kind of gets lost on you is in these types of rides, they're trying to say like, oh, there's like an urgency event that's happening and we have to get you there. And you're like, okay, when you watch this video, and then you wait for 15 minutes in a line.
Yeah, that's kind of the formula of all those rides. It's like, you're here to help us as the guest, and this is what we're going to do, and you're about to get on the ride, and something goes wrong, and we're not sure if it's going to work, and let's just do it anyway. And then you get on the roller coaster, and that's kind of how this one plays out.
Right. So I was a little nervous about riding this ride. I didn't know what kind of medicine to take, or, how it was going to go. I do know that certain I should say the ride vehicle is like a waist harness. So it's not over the head, it's waist harness, and it's individual. And I do know that rows 5 and 6 are the most intense. 3 and 4 are less intense, and 1 and 2 are the least intense. And then obviously it goes doubling that. So 7, 8 less intense. Those types of things goes all the way up to 12. We, of course, were in 6. And I knew that when we got on, that I was like, oh, this is going to be a little rougher than I had anticipated. And what I mean is that it's not meant to spoil it, but it's just that the roller coaster is not always forwards. It's not a typical like forward straight track, or even with your car. So there are some movement changes there. So in rows 5 and 6, you just get it more than 3, 4, or 1, 2. I won't give any spoilers because my eyes were closed almost the entire time. I started feeling motion sickness within the first 20 seconds of the ride. And I like peeked open like twice. And I will say, like, hearing people talk about it, they were like, "Oh, it's not that bad, it's less than Space Mountain." I thought it was way more intense than Space Mountain, but it could have just been because my eyes were closed, so I had no idea what was going on. Um, but I definitely would say that it felt very intense. And people had said, like, "Oh, just don't stare at the screens, just like glance, and then you should be okay." I couldn't even like glance. It was just, it was too intense for me. So I did have C bands on, and I did have, there's like this liquid stuff you can put behind your ears. I had both those things on, and that was the best that I could do. But I did not, with my eyes closed, I did not feel nauseous when I got off, which is probably the most important part. So I'll let you talk about your experience without too many spoilers.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes this ride intense is it's got a bit of a music theme to it, and the music is very loud, so that makes it a little bit more intense. You don't necessarily hear some of the chugging or some of the movements that sometimes go along with roller coasters, which will give you an indication of what's coming next, or if it's about to move or spin or go up or down. So that aspect of it makes it a little bit more intense. So if it's something you're not comfortable with, the loud noises or loud music, this might not be a ride for you. So I had my eyes open the whole time, and it was still difficult for me to tell what was actually, movements on the screen versus what you're watching, which versus movements of the seat. Were you actually moving, your body moving, or was it just the screen stuff moving past you? And the ride moves so fast, it's hard to really judge that stuff. Most of the other rides, you can kind of tell, like, all right, I'm not moving. It's just things going by me. So with this one, it is tough to kind of figure out, and it's going so fast, you don't really even want to figure it out. It doesn't really matter. But it is hard to tell when you're moving and when the screens are moving. So that and the music, I think, are the two biggest takeaways for me.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is probably not a ride I will get to do again. It just doesn't seem worth it. And if I did ride it again, I would have to be in probably rows 1 or 2, just to kind of make sure. And I would say I wanted to do it first thing in the morning when I was hydrated, I had eaten well, and I wasn't like tired or anything like that. I think waiting later into the day, it was definitely, I didn't want to take those chances. So if you are prone to motion sickness and stuff like that, that is something that I would say that I would try. I will also say there are tons of trash cans as soon as you get off, and they do try and get you off as soon as possible to avoid those things. I would say the biggest thing that I was surprised about is when you leave, you do go downstairs. So if you have mobility issues, you will be taking an elevator, but there were stairs to go down. So if you are feeling a little nauseous, they have benches and trash cans right there when you get off. I would sit for a minute there before you have to go down all the stairs. So
Yeah, and I would throw in that I'm 6'2", and I find that a lot of these rides, the cutoff, even though they only give minimums on the height, I feel like sometimes they should give a little bit of a maximum. Like, you might be uncomfortable if you're over 6 feet, but I don't. Looking back on it, I don't remember any issues of knees banging against restraints or against the seat in front of you. The other thing I'd add too is sometimes with rides, I'll have, if it's jarring of kind of side to side thing, my neck will feel it after. But this is definitely more of an up and down, straightforward kind of ride. It's not this, kind of left to right movement that can give some people some issues. So at least that's what I found and what I remember.
all right, it's definitely very smooth.
Yeah.
It's not like the Space Mountain jerkiness or Thunder
Yeah.
Mountain even. So that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. So if you don't know, obviously we just are in Florida. We just finished up a trip doing Disney and Universal. And in July, I will be going live every single day on the YouTube channel. I will have special guests, maybe even this guest over here. We'll see if he can handle. We'll see how you guys like him. So let us know in the comments if you like Brian, if you should come back on. And if you want to like, subscribe, that would be great. And if you want to sign up for our schedule in July, the information is below. So you can find out when we're going live, the topics we're going to be. And if you join the email list, you are going to be even part of deciding what we are going to do each week. So sign up. All right, that will do it for today. Again, I'm Lauren. I'm a travel advisor. Information is below. This is Brian, my husband.
Adios.
And I will talk to you next time on the Magical Travel Adventure YouTube channel. Bye.